What's up guys, Shane here, Fugatech 3D Printing. You guys have been asking for it, so today I'm going to finally go over all the mods that I've done on my Creality CR-10 and give you a review of the machine. Welcome back guys. So you guys have been asking for this video for a while now. You've seen me tease this in live streams and other videos. I've talked about all the mods I've done this machine. So we're finally going to go over all of that. And I'm going to do a quick little review of the machine. I obviously like it. I've been using it so much and I've put tons of hours into building this and creating this mod for it. So let's just dive right in and get into it. The very first thing we're talking about, well, there's two pretty obvious things here. The first being this box underneath, and the second being the stabilization that's on this printer. Now anybody that has watched my live streams or heard about me in videos, I hate that little extra box that comes with the printer. It takes up so much extra space on your like desktop. It's just stupid. It's like having the power supply sit separate from the printer. Why not raise the printer up, 50, 80 millimeters, throw everything underneath and call it a day? There are so many printers out there that do that. Look at Ultimaker, everything's underneath of it. And a bunch of other printers like that. There's just so many out there that do that. The Anycubic i3 Mega does that. There's just so many, like you don't have to mount it to the side. You don't have to do this extra stupid box. You can just put it right underneath for a few extra dollars. Even that, I bet you it's cheaper than manufacturing this box. It's easier to mount them to the bottom. I'll bet you that one. But either way, they bug me because they take up too much space. I have a lot of printers here. I need every inch of my desk space or shelf space so I can get more printers running and have more space for all of them. So I went ahead and designed this. It's about 120, 130 millimeters tall. And I'm using just some 2020 extrusion left over from building my hypercube and some 1/8 inch acrylic. Now, all I had to do is just measure out, how wide these actual pieces were here, cut those down. I'm using some 2028 corners to hold everything together. I kept the front kind of free of those corners. All the corners are on the sides of the printer, so you're not seeing any of that. And then I just, made some holes. I made an LCD mount, and it just fit together really well. I'm using 1/8 inch acrylic, which is pretty thin, about 2 millimeters thick, or 2.5, something like that. But the grooves inside of 2020 extrusion is about 5 millimeters. And the kind that I'm using is 5. There's other versions at 6, but the ones I'm using is 5 millimeter gap. So how do you fill in the rest of that gap? Well, I 3D printed some little wedges and printed them in flexible filament and then just plug them right in there. I'm using 3 on the sides, 2 in the front, and then 1 on each of the sides that go into the uprights 2020. And I mean, the front wiggles a little bit more on this side, but the rest of it, there's no flex in it. None at all. They work great. So let's go around and see all the different parts I've done. All right, so the very first thing you're going to see here, obviously, is the LCD mount that I made. I took the dimensions off of another version that someone made that mounts to the top of the enclosure or something like that. But I took their dimensions and I made my own little mount here. It's on a 30-ish degree angle, something like that. It prints with the face down and has to use support. I tried printing it with the face up, and you use supports on the inside, but the actual little holders for the screws where your screw would screw into, they just don't print right at all, at least on any of my printers. So by flipping this over, they print nice and solid. There's no issues at all with them. And there's a space here for the knob, and there's a space here for a full-size SD card reader extension. I think this was maybe $8 or $9 on Amazon, and I ordered 2 of them, one for each of the printers. They're fantastic because then I never have to worry about having the adapter. There's just in it here, and I'm going to order a bunch of 4 gig SD cards just so I don't have to use these little adapters anymore. And it goes right in there, plugs right into the board. I'm an SD card printer person, so that works out really well for me. Coming around the side of the printer, you can see right here, again, we got the plexiglass. This is the hot end connector. This is straight out of the CR-10 enclosure, so that works out great. And then here we have the X and X limit switch. We have the Z and Z limit switch, and then we have the TH3D Easy ABL system right on here as well. I do need to find a way to clean up all this extra wire, but for now it just tucks underneath without a problem. And then here's the USB cable. I did order a little adapter that I'm probably going to cut a hole right here for and mount it there to make it to be the standard printer, the standard USB that every other printer uses. This one uses the mini USB or the micro USB, type B, whatever it's called. I want it to be the standard all my other printers have, which is that printer one. And so we're gonna go ahead and put a little mount in here for that. I don't know if I'm gonna 3D print it or if I'll use one that I got online to add it in here on the side somewhere. All right, rolling around here to the back, you can see I didn't take off the protective layer yet. I just haven't got that far. So starting over here, I have a little LED switch because I have LEDs up on the top of the gantry. And this just allows me to turn those on or off if I want it. Right here in the middle is a great big 120 millimeter fan that blows air in through this system, or through this box I should say, with a nice little fan guard on here to keep little hands out of it or anything else out of there. Then we have the actual bed connector that comes off the back of the box, goes right into here. And then we have the Y, motor and end stop go right into here. And then over here I have the stock, right there is the stock plug and switch from, again, the CR-10 box. They work out really well, I like them. And I just had to make a couple quick cuts using a coping saw. Once I made some drill, just went through there and it was done. Again, it's 1/8 inch, so be careful when you're cutting it and make your cuts small inside the lines, and then use a file to make sure everything is nice and snugly fit in there. You can add a little bit of super glue or maybe some hot glue on the inside of these to make sure they set in there. I didn't have to do that because they're so snug, and this one actually holds in via screws anyways. And the other side here doesn't have anything, so we don't have to worry about that. Before we go anywhere else, right up here is the stock spool holder that comes off the box. I just used some M3 T-nuts because the actual thumb screws that come on it are M3, and I just mounted it right here to the 2040 extrusion. It's great because it feeds right up and in. You can have the filament come up and right into the extruder without any problems, no kinking. It works great in my opinion, so I'm really happy to put that right here. I do need to make a new tube for this because this one's a little thick for some of the smaller spools that I have. So I have another one on the Ender 2, and I believe I have another one somewhere, but I can't find where I put it. So I have to find that either way, put that back on here. And then the feet. So I'm using racket balls for the feet because they are, I think, the greatest vibration absorbers out there. Super duper bouncy. They're about 20 bucks for a box of 10 of them. I have several printers, so I'm using on several different ones, but you can pick up a set of 3 or 4 for I think like $6 or $7 on Amazon. I found these prints actually online. I've made new ones for a few of my other printers, the Anycubic Cossel and the CR-10S. I made new ones for those, but these were stock ones that I found on, these ones I found on Thingiverse that I printed out, and they work out just fine. But by adding those, the printer rocks and rolls, but there's no sound transfer from the printer into your build surface and then out to vibrate all over the place. This absorbs, I would say, a good 60 to 70% of the noise coming off your printer. So it is a great step if you need to reduce the noise of your printer, if you live in an apartment building or something like that, or you have a roommate. Put these on there super quick because you will make a remarkable difference in the noise level coming off this machine. All right, the next fairly obvious bit is going to be the Z gantry support on here. Off Thingiverse, comprises of several different pieces, but you have this bottom base piece here, and you have the 2 top braces up there. It uses a 5/16 threaded rod, 24 inches on each side, so you can go to Home Depot, pick up a stick for I think about $5 or $6, cut it down, and then you're off to the races with that. It has some 3D printed nut holders that your nut just slides into, and that way you can actually use your fingers to tighten these down. I just used a speed square here on the gantry, so move my carriage up and then just put a speed square in here and then tighten them down until it was nice and square on this side, nice and square on that side, tighten the rest down, and we're off to the races. Very easy to do. And the back here is just a real hefty 90-degree mount to go on there, just also to add a little bit more rigidity to the frame. I don't think this one is terribly as much as necessary as these ones are, but you probably could do without that, but I have it on there anyways, just, why not? There's another piece that goes back here in the back left corner, but because my spool's there, I didn't put it on there, and also because I have this frame underneath of it to add more rigidity to the lower frame, it's definitely not necessary, at least for my setup. All right, so here we have the extruder mount. So you've seen this from the, the TH3D Easy ABL setup video. I put this on there. This uses 2 50-15 fans, a Noctua 40 by 10 millimeter fan, little fan guard on here. I have cooling from both sides of the nozzle, which is great. Obviously the Easy ABL sensor. I do wish there was a little a mount up here to kind of help hold the wires. I might redesign this to add that with a little cable management built into it. And then for this 40 millimeter fan, because you change out the whole, extruder, piece on there, it's like that metal piece, you had to go ahead and print out this little adapter on here, which holds the 40mm fan onto the hot end, which then bolts in through this piece into the back carriage. So you just have to print that as well. The stock screws on this one did not work for me. It did on the Ender 2. For this one, it did not. So have an assortment of M3s around that you can use that with. I'm also using DuPont Quick Connects on all of the parts here to make it easier to swap out any of these fans when they die. It's not if a fan dies, it's when. You want to make it a nice easy transition, so you can pull this out, new fan on, reconnect it, and you're off to the races. Another super easy and like little helpful easy print is this knob. Devin at Make Anything made this. So whenever you're going through and you're going to add a new filament, usually you have to just pinch this and then feed your filament through. Well, now you just pinch, feed it in, and then just get it in there, get it bit, and then just, go ahead and spin this. Sorry, I'm shaking a bit here. But you just turn this, and you can get your filament in and out very easily without trying to pull it or yank it, anything like that, and it's done. Also, since we're looking at this extruder is new. So this was an upgrade that Creality put out there for $1. I think it's $10 now, but it's actually this full extruder body. It was a new gear, a new PTFE fitting, a bed mount, which I'll show you that in a second, and I think there might have been one part more to it, but it was $1 upgrade to get that. So it actually makes this lever bar here much wider. Before, it was like right here, and it didn't have this cable management connector on here, like the little grip. But now it's so much simpler to push this down and feed your filament in and then just go ahead and turn it. It is a little bit harder than the old yellow one, but if we can get in here, I don't know if it'll focus on it, but I am still getting some cutout from the filament, kind of going through the extruder there. Let me see if I can get in here. So you can see right here where the filament is actually cutting through the plastic, which is never a good thing. So this won't last forever, but it is a nice upgrade to have. I do wish they made this out of something harder or made it so you can fit a piece of PTFE tubing in there. I probably could just drill it out and make that work, but just something to be aware of when you Okay, here is the bed mount. So someone actually designed this a long time ago and had used 3D printable. Creality contacted them, they let them have the design, and now they are actually injection molding this. So this was also part of the upgrade. It's injection molded and it holds on real nice and tight. All new printers come with this. Like my CR-10S came with it, but this one did not, so I had to buy that little upgrade. So this tray on top is something that I created. This one is smaller than the original one. The original one was much longer, but with the size of these supports up here, it was bumping up against that. So this one uses 2 M4 bolts to hold it down and just holds all my little extra bits. It actually doesn't vibrate much at all. It doesn't add much weight to it. People complain about that. They think it's gonna add weight. No, it's just for some little tools that add a few grams. Nothing is going to make this shake, especially if you have this on here, but even before that, this did not make any difference whether I had tools up here or I did not. So if you want the longer version, I have that, or the shorter version, they'll all be on the links down below. You can download these and print them out. They're pretty simple. You have to print it on your CR-10 because they are meant to fit this width of this printer, so it has to be pretty big. Another thing I did on this printer on the silence video was add these stepper dampers to the Y and the X motors. So I said about 60-70% is of your noise reduction is in the feet. This is another 10 to 15%. It just goes right in there between the motor. Move your coupler out a little bit here, your wheel, and then it's nice and isolated, so you get a lot less noise from your X and Y motor. The extruder and the Z motor do not need that, so just let those be. You just need it on the X and Y, 2 of them, and you're doing good. Okay, as you can see here on the bed, and you've seen these in other videos, so this is my center GoPro mount. I didn't realize when I initially made this, but I made it so that the GoPro, their like mounting system is directly in the middle of the printer, 150 millimeters in. Well, I forgot that the GoPro camera is offset by like 40 or 50 millimeters. Like crap. So this is version 1. Version 2, I have on the CR-10S, where it moves this over to the left, or I should say to the right, about 50 millimeters, which puts your GoPro camera lens directly in the middle of the bed. You get awesome time lapses, and if you just want to add like a webcam to that, either way, that gives you a nice center, solid mounted camera mount on your bed. It's very stable. It does not add any wobble or weight to your bed at all, no matter what people say. There is zero translation from this into your print. It works out really well. And then down here, even though the thumb screws that come with this are really, really nice, they're easy to turn, having these great bigger thumb screws that slide over the stock ones, they help out so much more, because literally it's a tiny flick of your finger and you can move the bed and adjust it very easily. You don't have to like get your hands underneath there. I got decent sized hands. If you have small hands, probably not a problem, but with bigger hands, it's much harder, especially with the gantry on here. You need to just, like the stabilization gantry, so you need to just make sure that you can get your fingers in there and just turn it real nice and easy. One thing I will mention is that you don't have to print your own to do this. Like, this is the cheapest way to do it. I think this maybe takes a total of like $15 between hardware, the printer, the plastic, and the actual threaded rod. I guess part of the hardware there. You can buy a kit from like Ziltech or a few other companies out there sell them, or you can just buy some 2020 extrusion, make a few cuts. So you need your 2 uprights, your 2 going back to the actual gantry. You need some 2020 or 2028 corner brackets, M4's T-nuts. Oh, and then you need 1 more piece 2020 to go across to connect the 2 uprights to make a nice square box. Once you do that, this definitely will not go anywhere. You'll have rock solid prints. This does a really good job of it, but this is also a way cheaper and easier method to do. I wouldn't say easier, they're both pretty easy. Like, you have a saw, you can cut your own 2020. It's no problem at all. I have my own. A few minutes, a few cuts, and we're off to the races. It's very simple to do, so I do recommend doing that on this printer, is adding this or using the 2020 extrusion route to stabilize your gantry. So here we are inside the box, and here on the left side I have the board mounted. Here I have the extension going in. Here I have the USB cable going into the board. All the motors are all on there. I did use some separate wires for a few of the motors just to shorten them up a little bit, but it wasn't anything like too crazy, like, because the Z motor is right here. You could shorten this up, but I actually didn't. I actually used the stock one. Oh, I'd used it on the other one. I'm using the stock wires in this one, but they're just big and in the way. And then here I have my power supply back in there, and as you can see, I don't have the top stock on it anymore. This is just a protective cover that I printed. You can print it on the CR-10. And this is just to make sure that nothing can get down in there. They're pretty big holes. I probably could have made them smaller, but with that big 120mm fan blowing right onto it, it runs so cool. It's just amazing. It works out really well. And to cover this up, I do have a piece of acrylic slid in there. I use 3 different pieces, like paneling that goes in here to just kind of hide everything away. I didn't take the plastic off of those yet, like the protective covering. I will eventually, but I don't really need to. And then you can kind of see the wiring back there for the LEDs, which run down to that little switch back there. And then down in here, you see the little wedges that I made. You know, again, this was like a 2-minute operation in Fusion 360. You know, just a little 30-degree angle on there, and then they literally just push it right in there. I have them all on the bottom. As you can see, they're along there. They're here along the top as well. There's one right here. They're a little harder to see. They're on the sides, the front, the back, all over the place. And they make these panels so that they don't move at all. It's really, really nice. And this bottom enclosure makes a great place for all the stock bits. I just have a little vase printed. I have the old spool holder that I was using. I have that down in here just in case I ever want to use that again. And then I have one of the original LED mounts that I was going to use on this. I decided not to. It's just sitting here on the 2020 extrusion. But this you could mount on there, and there's a recess here for the LEDs to go into, and mount that to the top here. But again, I didn't really seem necessary, but I might use it one day. There's no reason to waste plastic, so I have it just sitting in there waiting for me to use it one day. And the absolute last mod that I did to this is I'm running the TH3D firmware. So Tim's unified firmware is great. He's got a lot of good settings in there. It's a good place to start. For this machine, I'm actually using his entire stock profile, like his stock firmware for this with the Easy ABL on there. I didn't change any jerks, anything like that. I don't have any ghosting anything on this. Like, it solved a lot of issues that I originally had with this printer. And I really like what Tim's doing over there. I really support him. So if you guys want to check out him, you can check out my video I did on the Easy ABL, or just go to his shop. He sells parts for this. He has his firmware out there for free. So definitely go out and check out his store and what he has to offer out there. So all that being said, again, it's a great printer. It's a huge print volume, 300 by 300 by 400 millimeters tall. It just blows everything else out of the water. For this form factor, for the price. There are a few other competitors coming out now, as I've had this for quite a few months. Fugatech came out with a competitor, so we'll have to see how those line up against this. But again, for about $300, you can't go wrong with a printer that can get you big prints at a decent quality. All that being said, if you guys want to check this printer out, get down to the video description. There'll be an affiliate link down there for GearBest. Things from GearBest take a while to ship. They send this to me. It usually takes about 30 days for me to get stuff, whether they send it to me or whether I buy it myself. I'm personally okay with that. Some people are not, so buy it at other places if you want to. But if you buy it through GearBest, you support my channel, and by them seeing sales coming through, they're more willing to send me more products to review. And the more products I have to review, the more video content I can make. So you help me, I can help you guys with some more of this stuff. So I appreciate everyone out there that uses those links. If you decide not to, I completely understand. Go ahead and buy it any other way you wish. Now, hopefully most of this video was in focus for you. And if you guys liked the video, if you thought these mods are cool, if you have done them yourselves, please give the video a thumb up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Talk to me in the comments down below. Either way, I want to hear from you guys. What do you recommend to do with the printer? Do you like the way the enclosure deal here went? Let me know down below. I want to talk to you guys. If you guys want to stay in tune what's going on for printer reviews, filament reviews, anything that I do, hit that subscribe button and then hit the bell icon. That way you get an email notification when I upload new content. If you use the YouTube app and you have push notifications enabled, you'll get a pop-up notification when I upload new content as well. So that's pretty cool. If you guys want to support me financially, down below is a Patreon link. Donate me $1 more. I greatly appreciate it. My current Patrons, you guys are awesome. You really help me build content for the channel and allow me to buy things for it. If you guys want to do a one-time donation, there's Streamlabs or buy me a coffee down there. Or if you just want to do your daily shop with some of my affiliate links, there's a whole list of them down there. I greatly appreciate you guys doing that because a little slice of what you buy comes here to help me at no cost to you. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, happy printing.